The floor of the hospital lobby gleamed under the dim evening light, but nobody noticed. Everyone was too caught up in their own grief, urgency, or exhaustion. Except for one man, Eli Carter, a janitor in his early 40s, sweeping up spilled coffee with care, as though it were the most important job in the world. He moved silently, his face gentle, his eyes tired but kind. He wasn't just cleaning the hospital floor, he was holding himself together. He had to. For Liam, his 7-year-old son asleep on a blanket behind the nurse's desk, waiting for his dad to finish another late shift. What Eli didn't know was that across the lobby, hidden behind tinted glass in a silent luxury car, a woman was watching him. Her world had crumbled hours earlier. And in the next few minutes, Eli's quiet act of kindness would change her life, and the life of her daughter, forever. Earlier that day, the hospital had seen an emergency. A small girl, no older than 7, was rushed in after collapsing at school. She had panic attacks, severe anxiety, and had recently gone mute. No one could reach her. The doctors suspected trauma, but the mother refused to speak to anyone. Her name was Victoria Langston, a powerful and elusive billionaire whose life was built on control, image, and distance. But now she sat alone on a hospital bench, clutching her daughter's tiny shoes with trembling hands. No press. No assistance. No husband. Only fear and guilt. Victoria had built empires from scratch. But she couldn't fix her daughter. By nightfall, doctors left the girl sedated in a room. Victoria stayed near her, eyes hollow. That's when Eli noticed her. He had passed by the room several times. She looked broken. He had seen that look before, in the mirror, the day his wife passed away unexpectedly, leaving him alone with a newborn and a cleaning job he never wanted but couldn't quit. He didn't recognize Victoria. To him, she was just a woman in pain. And that was enough. Instead of sweeping past, he softly knocked on the open door. She didn't react. So he left a juice box and a granola bar on the table beside her. Nothing much, but the only thing he could offer at the moment. That tiny gesture broke something inside her. Victoria watched him leave and then glanced at the juice box. Her hands trembled as she picked it up, remembering her daughter once loved grape juice. She opened it and took a sip, her first nourishment in over 24 hours. It didn't fix anything, but it reminded her of something she'd forgotten: kindness existed. Even here. Even now. Later that night, the little girl, Sophie, awoke crying and tried to pull out her 4. Nurses rushed in but couldn't calm her. Eli, walking past, heard the commotion. He stopped, hesitated, then gently asked if he could try. The nurses, overwhelmed, agreed. Eli knelt beside Sophie, his worn janitor uniform stained with the day's work. He pulled out a tiny bottle of soap from his pocket, dipped a straw in it, and began blowing slow, shimmering bubbles into the air. Liam loved them. He always carried the bottle just in case. Sophie's tearful eyes followed the bubbles floating above her bed, each one reflecting soft hospital lights. One landed on her hand and popped gently. Another landed on her nose, making her blink. Then she smiled, a fragile, fleeting thing. But a smile nonetheless. Victoria watched from the doorway. Her knees gave out. She sank to the ground and sobbed, muffling her cries so her daughter wouldn't hear. She had tried specialists, therapists, even international clinics. But a janitor with bubbles and gentleness did what no one else could: he made her daughter smile. That night, Eli didn't say a word to her. He just gave Sophie a soft stuffed animal from the lost and found and returned to mopping. The next day, Victoria asked about him. A nurse told her, "That's Eli Carter. Widowed. Works double shifts. Lives paycheck to paycheck. Raises his son alone. Never complains. He's the kind of person you hope still exists in this world." And just like that, something shifted in her. Over the next week, Eli continued showing up. Not just to clean, but to bring quiet calm to Sophie's room. He'd whistle a soft tune, draw little stick figures on napkins, and once, even taught her how to blow bubbles herself. Sophie began whispering words again. Victoria watched in awe. Then one evening, Victoria walked up to him and asked if he would accept a proper job, full-time caretaker for Sophie. It paid well, offered benefits, and was flexible with his hours. Eli hesitated, thinking of Liam, school runs, and bills. But most of all, he thought of Sophie, and how no child should carry such fear alone. He said yes. Weeks passed. Sophie improved dramatically. She began talking again, laughing, and even playing with Liam when Victoria invited them both to her mansion. The kids bonded like siblings. Eli and Victoria didn't speak much, but when they did, it was always deep, reflective, and healing. One day, during a spring picnic on her estate grounds, Sophie climbed into Eli's lap and whispered, "You made me feel safe." That was the moment Victoria knew she had to tell him the truth. She led him to the patio and revealed everything. She had been watching him long before she ever spoke to him. From that hospital lobby. She had filmed a short clip of him helping another patient months ago, a lonely elderly woman with Alzheimer's. He'd sat with her on his break, fed her pudding, and sang softly while she cried. Victoria had captured that moment accidentally. But she never forgot it. In her lowest hour, she returned to that hospital, hoping, somehow, to find him again. Tears welled in Eli's eyes. He wasn't used to being seen. Not really. People passed him daily. But no one ever saw him. Until now. But what Victoria did next was even more surprising. She offered to fund Liam's education fully. Not just for elementary school. But college. She said it wasn't charity. It was repayment for saving her daughter's life. And she offered Eli the role of chief care director at her foundation for traumatized children. It came with dignity, freedom, and a mission. Eli accepted, but only on one condition, that he could keep cleaning the hospital floors part-time. When she asked why, he replied, "Because there are still people sitting alone in hallways. And they deserve to be seen." Months later, the foundation opened its first center, named Sophie's Bubbles. A place where children could heal through laughter, play, and kindness. The logo? A little girl smiling under a swirl of bubbles. Eli gave the opening speech. He didn't speak like a polished CEO or a trained speaker. He just said, "Kindness isn't something you give when you have more. It's something you share when you see someone needs it. You don't need money. You just need to care." The video of his speech went viral. Millions watched, cried, and shared it. Parents donated. Volunteers signed up. The world saw what Victoria had seen all along, not just a janitor, but a hero in plain clothes. And as the center grew, so did Eli's little family. Victoria and Sophie often had dinner with him and Liam. Slowly, laughter returned to both their homes. Pain didn't disappear, but it was shared. And in sharing, it became lighter. In the end, Eli didn't just change one child's life. He reminded the world that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes, they wear faded uniforms, blow bubbles in hospital rooms, and carry a love so quiet it almost goes unnoticed, until it saves someone. Never underestimate the power of small kindness. A quiet act, a gentle word, a shared moment of hope, can echo far beyond what we see. Sometimes, the greatest impact comes not from grand gestures, but from everyday compassion. Be the light for someone. Even if no one is watching, someone always is.